Morning, church family. It is Monday, February 6th. I trust you're having a wonderful morning already. Getting a little bit of a late start for me today, but I am excited about what God has for us today. We're praying for revival. We had a wonderful time praying yesterday during the service in our growth groups, and I trust that you have set aside in 11 days on February 17th, 18th, and 19th to meet with God's people, to hear the preaching, to just be stirred in your heart. I believe we desperately need it. I wanted to talk to you today about just being faithful. I think of faithfulness as just one of the great virtues. The Bible says it's something that God requires. 2 Corinthians 4 tells us that it is required of stewards that a man be found faithful. It is something that God says is in demand. Now today it seems like people have decided to make church attendance, consistent church attendance and consistent Bible reading something that is optional. But our God says that it's something that He demands. It is something that He believes is absolutely essential, that a man must be found faithful. And so I want to encourage you with this. The Bible says in Daniel 1 verse 8, "But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor the wine with which he drank." What a resolve. I think of Daniel, and he was a young man, and he was stripped of his family. They were most likely killed. He's taken to a pagan land. He is put in a pagan environment. There's pressure all around him to compromise, to give in to the world. And yet the Bible says that there was something in his heart that he had purposed. And I believe many times today that our faithfulness is based on comfort, on convenience. But I want to challenge you with this. Purpose in your heart that you will be faithful to the Lord, to His work. There's a lot of people today who have this idea that somehow they can't be faithful because they have special circumstances. Friend, if you purpose in your heart, you can be faithful wherever God puts you. These are days of much wickedness. I thought yesterday of that verse, Matthew 24:12, because of the increase in iniquity. The Bible says the love of many will wax cold. And that's true. And yet we must purpose in our hearts. Would I leave you with this today? Be faithful to the Lord. Here's a story. Of course, we all know Jonathan Edwards, who was the great speaker and revivalist of yesteryear. He was a catalyst for the Great Awakening right here in New England, about an hour from us, a little north of Springfield, in that Northampton church. He preached sinners in the hand of an angry God, which sparked a great revival. I don't know if you knew this, but an amazing thing happened. Just a few years after he preached that sermon, he was dismissed from his church. This is what they said: because he preached against ungodly books, the dance, and the unsaved taking communion. He took a stand and he was dismissed. Now, the story goes that very few in his church even opposed this. Most people were just fine. They didn't want this fiery preacher preaching against sin and against wrong. And I think for us, the results are up to the Lord, but the resolve is up to us. We can take away from that story that we must resolve in our hearts to be faithful to God. Will you be faithful to Him today? Will you purpose in your own heart to stand, just to follow the Lord, to stand for His word? The day will come when your resolve will be tested, like Daniel. And the Bible says he did not take the king's meat. He did not give in to the pagan diet. He didn't give in to the pagan religion. He didn't go and blend in with the world. I pray that you'll stand for Jesus today. Have a great day. God bless.